Living Heritage is designed to highlight, examine, and celebrate elements of the rich cultural heritage of St. Kitts and Nevis. Journey with us as we explore our distinct and immersive culture. Welcome to a life of pride in our past and confidence in our present and future. Welcome to Living Heritage. Welcome to our special Nationhood series of Living Heritage, ICH documentary series of St. Kitts and Nevis. During independence, among other things, we applaud our national heroes. The Right Excellent Sir Robert L. Bradshaw, the Right Excellent Sir Caleb Azariah Paul Southwell, the Right Excellent Sir Joseph Nathaniel France, the Right Excellent Sir Simeon Daniel, and our only living national hero, Dr. the Right Excellent and the Right Honorable Sir Kennedy A. Simmons. Today, you will hear about two of our Federation's trailblazers, the designer of our national flag and the composer of our national anthem. Edrice Lewis-Viechweg, who at this year's 41st anniversary of independence was awarded a Companion Star of Merit for her contribution to education. She will tell us about her personal experience in flag design. But considering that the late Kenrick Georges is no longer with us, we will hear from his friend and fellow musician, Gairy Knight. We begin with the designer of our national flag, Edrice Lewis-Viechweg.
I was a student at the College of the Virgin Islands, and I was employed for work study in the finance office. And the fax came through telling us that they were inviting natives of St. Kitts and Nevis to take part in a national flag competition. So I made a copy of the email and I gave it to my boss, who was the director of finance in the college. And I thought that maybe I can do this. I'm a native of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I was happy to take part in trying to design a flag. First of all, I thought about our history, where we came from. And I know that most of us are African by descent. So I did some research on Africa. Personally, my great-grandmother was from Guinea. So I did some research and I found out that the colors that I wanted to use were African colors. So I also looked at the information that came from, I don't remember the name of it, but it's some college that has something to do with flags in Great Britain. And they gave instructions on how you can design a flag, what colors can go to each other, what colors you can't use, and all of that stuff. So I decided to use primarily red, green, and yellow, and black for our flag. And one of the interesting things I always remember, I sat down in the library and I was designing, and a friend of mine from Nevis, who was also at the college with me at the time, she came across and she looked at the design. And she said, "What are you doing, designing a Rasta flag?" And I said, "Yeah." So she was actually the first person to see what I was doing, because she came and she looked over my shoulder. Nice. So after I decided to put those colors together, I thought about why not add something for hope and liberty. And I thought about adding two white flags to represent hope and liberty, or as I said, hope and posterity. So that's the meaning of the two stars in the middle. Okay, first of all, we are going to begin with the green, because we know that St. Kitts and Nevis are very fertile islands. In fact, St. Kitts and Nevis were two of the richest islands in the Caribbean way back because of the soil and the things we produced. So because of the fertility of the island, I used the green. And we also have to remember that the original name of St. Kitts was Liamiga, which means fertile island. The yellow is year-round sunshine. It's amazing when I explain to some of my friends here that we have sunshine every day of the year, and it never gets below a certain degree. They find it hard to believe, but those of us from St. Kitts and Nevis know it's true. We see the sun every single day of the year. So that's the yellow. And the red, which I think is also very important, and perhaps the most important color in the flag, represents the blood, sweat, and tears from slavery through colonialism to independence. Because we know that without the struggle that our ancestors went through, we probably would never have been free. I heard through the grapevine that my flag was chosen. They did not tell me it was my flag, but when they mentioned the colors, I knew that it was my design. And sometime later, I was sent, I think it was a letter by the Attorney General telling me that my flag was the chosen design. I was very proud that I was able to make a mark on my country, St. Kitts and Nevis. Very, very proud to be able to do something for my country. I'm happy to see that because it shows that we have pride in our country. And I also see it in a lot of different ways. I mean, almost everything I can see our flag flying, and people take a lot of pride in flying the flag. A lot. Whether they're in St. Kitts, Nevis, America, everywhere I go, people know that I designed a flag. They come up and they tell me what a great flag it is. Oh, we have the best flag in the world. That's what I'm doing. And I agree with them. Not because I did it, but I agree with them. I'm going to build a home. I don't know if it's going to be a vacation home because I would really like to come back home to live. But my plan is to build a home. St. Kitts is home to me. I was home a couple of weeks ago and I said to my neighbor, I'm going home for summer. And he looked at me and said, like, isn't that your home over there? I'm like, no, that's my house. My home is in St. Kitts. I think it's important for Kittitians and Nevisians to give back to the people at home who are less fortunate than we are. We're out here, we may not have a lot, but we have a lot more than some people at home. And it doesn't matter what we can give them, 1 backpack, 2 books. In fact, when I started giving back, I started at Irishtown School, which was the first school I taught at. And I actually donated to 2 students. Since then, there was a year when I donated to 84 students. And I've been doing this every year for the last 26 years. This year, I have donated. I know that the things I sent have not been given out as yet, but I'm working with the Minister of Government who will set up something to give them out. They have been in St. Kitts now for about 2 months. And I spoke with him last week, and he's making arrangements to set up something to distribute the school supplies I sent. I would say to people, whatever chance you have to do anything at all for the country, go ahead and do it. A couple of years ago, I was invited to Washington, D.C. to an independence function. And one of the things I did was to write a poem for independence. I think that was the 33rd anniversary. So at least every year I put pen to paper and I write something about independence. But this was a long poem that I wrote because I presented it at that function also. So my advice to people is to take pride in where you come from. We're small, but we're making a big difference. We have a big influence in all parts of the world. Take pride in your country and do whatever you can for it, whether it is in entering competition, playing sport, keeping your country safe, and making sure that people know where we come from and show them that we are proud of our country.
The Twin Island Federation made its mark in history, forging ahead with resilience and a shared vision. Our national flag, raised with pride on that September morning 40 years ago, fluttered
That clip from the drone show was from last year's 40th anniversary of independence. We'll be right back with another clip from St. Kitts and Nevis's national broadcaster, ZIZ, of an interview with composer of the St. Kitts and Nevis national anthem, Kenrick Georges.
Check on your battery, check. Emergency center, check. Store up your water, check. And board up your window, check. So you got to place it, check. Before it is too late, check. Disaster could happen anytime, any place. Check on your elders, check. And your insurance, check. Secure the animals, check. Tie down the gas tank, check. Don't intoxicate, you got to play it safe. Disaster could happen anytime, any place.
For more information, contact your National Emergency Center today. Before the storm, stock up on perishable foods to last at least 24 hours. Secure important documents. Full up on gasoline. Remove boats and fishing pots from the water. During the storm, unplug electrical appliances. Do not go outside. Listen to your radio station. After the storm, do not go sightseeing. Make sure the entire family is okay and assess and photograph all damages.
Check on your battery, check. Emergency center, check. Store up your water, check. And board up your window, check. So you got to place it before it is too late. Disaster could happen anytime, any place.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to the St. Kitts Craft House. This is where life begins. And what we create will leave you speechless. We train, we create, we promote, and we maintain the highest standards. Experience life for yourself. The premier craft and production facility in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Oh, land of beauty, our country where peace abounds, thy children stand free on the strength of will and love, with good in all schools, St. Kitts and Nevis. A nation bound together with a common destiny.
That beautiful a cappella by Project Harmony was the first verse of the national anthem of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Its composer, the late Kenrick Georges, sat down for an interview with Cheryl Ward while he was still with us.
Well, 1983, again, to do anything and to be at an accomplished level, you got to be prepared. When there was a call for independence, there was a political component, you know, and I wasn't too keen. Personally, I wasn't too keen. But you know what? I said, suppose something emerged that I'm uncomfortable with. I don't have an argument. I didn't participate. But I had already, during the course of the time, helped other people write their stuff. They tell me what they want, I would write. And
all the songs that entered the competition?
Yes, I did.
So you were competing against yourself?
That's fine. I have no problem with that. No, you know, because I mean, I understand one thing. I have certain, some people call me a philosopher because I think about life. And one of the things I always figure is that to be successful in any competition, stick to the criteria, know the field, and be different. You would always win. I have always had strong sentiments about my country. I love my country so much. And that has driven me. And the coat of arms says country above self. I knew that concept since I was a kid. You understand? That came into being at the turn of independence. So I said to myself, I have to take part. I have to write something. If something emerge that is better than what I submit, as far as I'm concerned, I would be happy with it. So it was the very last day of the competition. 2 o'clock in the morning, I decided I'm going to do something. 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's going to end on that day. So, no, I'm saying that the competition was
it was due to end on that day.
And I started 2 o'clock in the morning. I wrote the lyric, I wrote the music. By 6 o'clock, I was done. I got out of my house, went to Mrs. Gums on Greenland, a piano teacher, and I said, would you please play this for me? I don't know if she knew me.
At what time?
It was after 7. She was still doing breakfast.
7 in the morning?
Yes. And this was the final day to submit. So I went to her and she played it. She said, this is good. I said, okay, thank you very much. She played it, put it on a tape, and I submitted it same day, the competition. Sometime after that, I was alerted that they wanted to see me, the committee wanted to see me, and they gave the information. It still didn't sink in.
They gave it that you had won at that point?
Yeah, because, there's some preparation going on and so on. And one of the amazing things was that some people chose not to believe that it was done in such short a time. But my convictions with respect to my country and sentiments, emotions are extremely deep. And it doesn't take a whole lot of preparation to express how I feel. So that was it. And as far as I'm concerned, that has been my high point in my whole musical career.
Well said, Kenrick Georges. We now invite you to hear what his friend and fellow musician has to say about the humble music genius, Kenrick Georges.
I can't really give you a specific date, but I knew it was sometime in the late 1970s when I myself began doing band arrangements. So I knew him mainly initially from his work with Grand Dash 2 Express, and he's mainly a trumpeter, but he's also a brass musician, brass and saxophones. And what I can say is that from my perspective, he definitely was a perfectionist. At that time, he really was into a lot of funk music, which was the music of the day, the Earth, Wind and Fires, the Commodores, Confunction. And so he had the band playing a lot of that music and arranging for that particular ensemble. And because of his awareness and his knowledge of that, he really was a rigorous musician that made his musicians work hard and practice hard. He also had a lot of respect for my father, who himself was a musician, and so he would always be coming around and asking my father a lot of his opinions about music and arrangements. And then, of course, he got into writing a lot of calypso arrangements for this and that, a number of Nevisian calypsonians. And, of course, I think one of his most notable arrangements was for King Arrow, St. Kitts King Arrow, his album, which was really outstanding. As well as he did work for Mighty Arrow, that is Hot, Hot, Hot Arrow out of Montserrat. Well, he was a very humble person. He was always, I think what he and I shared in common was not just the love for music, but the love of sharing music and sharing ideas. I remember when he went off to, I think it was the Jamaica School of Music, and whenever he came back, and I think I remember I think it was in 1985 when I was back home briefly, and he would always come by and showing me a number of the compositions, some of the things that he wrote even for piano, right? Almost classical style music for piano. So he would want to ask me if I thought it was feasible, if it was playable, things like that. So he would bring them around for me to be able to play them. So, and he was also not just an artist in the sense of a musician, but he loved art. He loved painting. It sort of reminded me of Bruce Skerritt was into his art and painting and digital art, and George's Kenrick was the same way. He loved poetry, he wrote poetry, so he really was fully engaged in not just music, but the performing arts and art in general. And a very, very humble gentleman, not a boasting person at all. He was a creative genius, and he went off to school, and even within his learning, when he was working on his degree in music, and he shared a lot of his experiences with me. Sometimes I would be in New York and he would contact me, and he would share a lot of what he was actually doing and talk about how he was working with his professors, because as you are aware, I too did go off to do my bit of studying, before he did, but he's older than I am. But he really, again, like I said, loved to share ideas, share music, and is very humble and had a lot of humility with what he did. I don't know really what the word special means in this context, but I would say he was proud, and I think rightfully so. Your anthem, what you had written, what you had composed, was chosen as the national anthem for a new, federation, and that will live for you forever. So of course he was proud of what he did, and I think we are all proud of what he wrote. I don't know if I can give you, it was a music score, it's written in it's for voice, basically for voice, and scored initially for voice and piano. And of course, when you're writing anything that has to do with the lyrics, is to be able to get it to fit within the particular meter that you want, and to be able to run the chord progressions, and to make it attractive to the persons who would be singing the national anthem. So I think that is where he worked. I was not around when he wrote the national anthem, but looking at it, I can see what he was trying to achieve, and what he did achieve, I think, it was what he set out to do. National anthems vary, depending on the culture and traditions of the particular country that they come from. So you find that there are some national anthems that are more classical in nature, because that was, what they came out of. And then there are some of those that are more cultural or folk-like, because that is the nature that they come out of. Of course, we have more of a sort of European English influence, and so the national anthem was written, in a sense, in a more traditional structure of national anthems. I think that persons don't realize the power of music. Personally, I think that there is too much focus on the commercial aspect of music. I focus a lot on music education. A comment was made to me some time ago that a person said that I have not contributed enough. I think mainly because they're looking at me, at what other people have recorded, and I have not recorded a lot of my own personal music, but I have written for quite a lot of musicians. The Calypsonians, the list of Calypsonians I've written and arranged for, it's extremely long. And, even my engagement with the GI Brass when I took over as the arranger. And I have always been fully engaged in music education, whether teaching privately. Even now I'm fully engaged as an assistant chief examiner for music for CSEC music, CXC music. What I would encourage young musicians to do is, while you are all excited about being on a stage in front of 500 people and you jumping and you're wailing, try to hone your craft, because there are 1,000,001 of them out there like you. And of course, if you get the right handlers, you can move far. But for your personal development, try and learn some music. Try and learn fundamentals and rudiments of music, so that you are able to function in more than one context.
Thank you for viewing part of our Living Heritage Nationhood series. Go to our social media That's Facebook at SKNICH or ICHSKN, YouTube at St. Kitts Culture, and X or Twitter at St. Kitts Culture, where you can find the rest of our episodes in our Nationhood series from both Living Heritage as well as from our live show, The Cook-Up. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for viewing, and remember, together we can safeguard our living heritage.
Thank you.